Good afternoon. I am Saad Al-Aziz, the owner and head instructor of Semper Fortis Jiu Jitsu here in San Antonio, Texas. And I know it's been a couple weeks since I've done one of these videos. I strive to do one every week, but as many of y'all know, I was in Brazil for the past week or so, and we just got back on Monday, and we had a wonderful trip. A number of our team, we went to Brazil, went to Rio de Janeiro, did some training, then did a lot more training in Búzios, which is a sort of a suburb of Rio. Fantastic trip, and highly recommend going to Brazil. But the question of the week that we're going to deal with this week is somebody asked me like if they thought, or if I thought, that it was required to go to Brazil to become good at Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And the quick answer is absolutely not. If all you're interested in is becoming an elite Brazilian Jiu Jitsu fighter, you could just stay here in the United States and become exceptional at it and never step foot in Brazil, and you'll be just fine. Like, if being a fighter is what you want to be, like there's amazing teachers here in the United States, you'll be just fine. You never have to step foot in Brazil, to move through the ranks. It's not a requirement. But why I go to Brazil often and why I encourage my students to go to Brazil is not from the perspective of being a fighter, but from the perspective of being a martial artist and appreciating not just the skill set that we're getting in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but the history of it, the culture involved, and Brazil is just a phenomenally beautiful country. And this doesn't just apply to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, where I think it's important to go to the homeland of where this beautiful art was created, and see the history and experience the culture and the life there. A person could become an Italian chef and specialize in cooking Italian food, and you never would have to actually go visit Italy. But I think you should, But you could learn all the recipes, and I don't know what formal schools are available here in the United States, but there's schools for chefs to go to, and you could go and become an elite chef and never go to Italy. But if you want to be an Italian chef, I think you should go to Italy. I think you should go experience the country, the culture, see the sights, talk to the people there in Italy about recipes and histories and ways of doing different things. Same thing if you wanted to learn how to speak Chinese. You could stay right here in the United States. There are schools here that will teach you to be fluent in the Chinese language, and you could do all that and never step foot in China. But I think you should. I think if you want to be a Chinese linguist, you should learn it, and then go to China and try out speaking, see the culture, see the sights. And so I think that's how I look at training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that you should go and as a martial artist experience Brazil, see where this all came from. And like on my trips to Brazil, I've trained with like some legends. I've gone to visit really great historical sites. Not this visit, but my previous visit, I went to the Santana Academy, which was very famous because it was founded by the brothers Vladimir and Valdo Santana. And of course, Vladimir was famous for being a former Elio Gracie student, and he had a 3 or 4 hour no holds barred fight with Elio Gracie, and where Vladimir won, and then Carlson Gracie Sr. became the family champion, and that led to him fighting Vladimir, and where Carlson Sr. won. But Vladimir's brother Valdo, he was also a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu no-holds-barred fighter, and he had a battle with Hobbs and Gracie, and where Valdo won. So these were amazing martial artists. Of course, the Gracie family did amazing things with Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, but they had some very tough opponents to overcome, and Vladimir and Valdo Santana were two of them. And I went to visit their academy. I was like, hey, is it okay if I come in and check out your class, see how you guys are doing? And they're like, yeah, come on in. Both Vladimir and Valdo have passed away, but Valdo's son runs the academy, the Santana Academy there in, I think it was in the Tijuca neighborhood of Rio de Janeiro. So you get to go see the history. Same thing with, like I competed in Brazil, not on this visit, but the previous visit, at the Tijuca Tennis Club, and which was the site of some of the greatest battles in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competition history. So many famous matches happened in this tennis club, and it was like really an honor to step on those mats and compete. But did it make me a better fighter? Probably not. I could have probably just continued to progress and never competed in Tijuca or visited the Santana Academy or visited Brazil at all, But I think as a martial artist, it sort of expanded my view of Brazil, helped me understand the culture of Brazil, where this art that I love so much, where it came from. And so I think if you train judo, which we do here, like I would encourage our judo practitioners to visit Japan. Like my wife Sway, who trains judo, she a couple years ago went to Japan, visited the Shotokan, where Jigoro Kano was teaching judo. Not during her visit, but historically, this is where judo, it was the great judo training ground of so many champions. And so I think if you're doing Taekwondo, you should visit Korea. Like experience that culture. Train with those guys there. See, how your training compares to how they're training and what's different. Like when I went to Brazil, what I noticed is like they conduct. I've trained at several schools there in Brazil, and their classes are conducted just like the way they are conducted here. Except it's in Portuguese. But you sort of figure it out. It's like, oh, I think he's showing an armbar, and you just train away. And it's great to meet the folks there who share this love of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with you. And so the Brazil trip was great, and I would encourage anybody that is not just trying to be a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fighter. Like if all you want to do is be a fighter, and you can get all the training you need here in the United States. But if you're trying to become an all-together martial artist and understand the roots of this art that you're studying, I think it's very beneficial to go to Brazil. And let me tell you, Brazil, because those of you that know me know I spent 33 years in the United States Navy, and I have visited almost every continent in the world, and I've more countries than I can count I've visited. But I don't think I've ever visited a country that I love and enjoyed more than visiting Brazil. Brazil is so beautiful. There's so many beautiful just sights to see. The water is amazing on the beaches. The waves, watching the surfers. Like I don't know how to surf, but I sat on the beach and I watched people surf, and I was just amazed. It was just so nice. The lifestyle is amazing there. The people are so friendly, warm and friendly people. If you ever get the chance to go to Brazil, I highly recommend it. Whether you go with me or whether you go, by yourself or, with your team, like if you're from another association watching this video, man, I would encourage you to hey, see if your team's going down to Brazil, and or come up with the idea at your school. Get a few of y'all, come down, make a trip, and go train in Brazil. You might even coordinate it with a major tournament. Like one of my previous visits to Brazil, they was having the Carlson Gracie Cup, and that was at the Tijuca Tennis Club, and I went and competed, and it was super cool. And the competition was the same. The guy that I was competing against, like his jiu-jitsu was like my jiu-jitsu. It was not, there was nothing, extraordinary or something I'd never seen. It was like, it's like we're doing the same art, whether you're in Brazil, whether you're in the United States, whether you're in Australia, Europe, Asia. We're all doing the same art, and we love it. We may not all understand the language that we're speaking, but we understand the art we're doing, and it's like a universal language amongst us Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. It's like, I may not understand what you're saying to me, but as you start to do that armbar, I understand exactly what you're doing, because I'm trying to do that myself. So great experience. So if you get a chance to visit Brazil, I highly recommend it. But do you have to in order to move up the ranks of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? No, you don't have to. But I would recommend doing it. I think it's good for you, not just your jiu-jitsu, but just as a person. I don't think you can ever go wrong traveling the world. Like, just travel, see what's out there, because you meet so many people who have never even left their state. They live and die, and they haven't seen much outside their state here in America, or they haven't seen anything outside the United States. It's like, no, man, like, it's a beautiful world out there with amazing cultures and amazing people, and you should go out there and see it. So at Semper Fortis Jiu-Jitsu, I talked to Luis, and we're thinking about doing the same trip again next year. So if you're interested in it, talk to me and Sway, and we'll see. Like, maybe we'll go again next year, or maybe we'll go every other year, depending on what the interest is. But I would like. I'm gonna go again regardless, because I just love Brazil, and if I ever had to immigrate someplace, I'd probably immigrate to Brazil, because I love that country. It's a beautiful place, beautiful people. So that's this week's question. Do you need to go to Brazil to move up the ranks? No. You can become a great fighter without ever stepping foot in Brazil. But I would highly recommend going to Brazil, not to become a great fighter, but just to improve your overall happiness. It makes me happy going to Brazil. Can't even describe why or explain why fully, but it was a happy trip. I had a great time. My wife had a great time. My daughter had a great time, and everybody we brought down with us had a great time. So that's this week's question. So if you got a question for next week, as always, you can either make it in the comment section below, or you see me in school, you're like, this is my question this week, or Facebook, however you want to do it. Shoot me your question, and I'll answer it. All right. Y'all have a great week, and look forward to training with you next week. Ciao.